That's hard for the streets. Hard for the streets.
You are now catching the ChillBuzz.
Fire.
Welcome to ChillBuzz Radio, where we shed light on the deep, dark truth of New York City and the surrounding world around it. I'm DJ Luca Knight. I'm here with Galactic Mike, who's been enlightening me to some pretty amazing things that I've been just looking into during this Halloween season. You know, like thinking like all of the unimaginable like type of things, and I decided to bring you on the show because I know that out of everyone I know, you're the main person that could probably like talk about like a lot of these things, you know. And based off the fact that you bought a really good camera for the purpose of looking for UFOs, what made you get that?
Yeah, so the camera was just a one piece of like 10 different things I had to buy to do some good C5 sessions. So what C5 means, it's called it's a program, or it's a structure developed by a dude named Dr. Stephen Greer. He's a ufologist. Ufologists study UFOs and like being scientific about it, not just like some wackos. Like these guys actually have like scientific background that go along with their like shit. Regardless, this dude has a program that he like puts out to the public. People actually have great experiences doing this. Like something like I have done. Like I haven't never told you about it, even though I'm your friend. But like it's something you go out with people, or you can do it by yourself. And it's like a 5-step protocol. It involves meditation and shit, and you just sit in the field and you can like get UFOs to like appear. Like, not even joking. Like that's something that is possible and attainable.
So have you seen any?
I haven't seen any because I haven't done enough of it. I've only really done it like once, or not once, but like at least 5 good times. I actually understand more about it. I haven't seen anything yet, but I understand like how it can work, the potentiality of it. So like there are things you can do like in your everyday world without having to be like on the inside to like start learning how to do shit. You know what I mean?
One of my fantasies, like that I've always had, like this is my ultimate top fantasy. Well, my top goal that kind of surpasses the realistic shit I could accomplish on the planet is to hijack a spaceship from a fucking alien and travel around and see what's up. Do you think like you would be able to operate one of them fucking things?
I mean, I think it's more of a possibility that they can hijack you and fly you around and show you a bunch of crazy shit than you hijacking it. Because what are the chances that you're ready for that?
Well, what do you mean by hijack you?
Like you're saying, what are the chance? Like you wanted to know the probability of like just stealing a spaceship and just driving it. Like what do you know
I'm
about?
saying like, all right, if a spaceship crashed on Earth, do you think you'd be able to figure that out? I ask you this because I know you know a lot about this shit. You have heard from people that supposedly have been in spaceships and all this stuff.
Yeah.
Stories from people like all this crazy stuff you were telling me. Tell me about that. Like, what's that guy you were telling me about?
All right, so let me get this clear. Like, I actually haven't in person talked with any of these people. Like, I'm just like a person who knows a lot about it because I watch and I put in the effort to like research the topic. You know, a lot of it comes from like
too much info.
Yeah,
Fuck
but
you.
but too much info about the right thing. Like, if you think about it, like.
So who is this guy?
All right, so there's this dude named Randy Kramer, and he's apparently the story behind him is he's a part of a Marine Corps section called Special Section. It was developed in the Eisenhower era, and he pretty much developed this program because at that point, ever since Hitler left his power, there's been ET contact with like planet Earth that has till this day continued behind our backs, behind the civilians knowing anything about it. So this dude was actually one of the people, and there's millions of people. This dude's just one out of million. There's millions of people that just don't say anything about it. They can even walk among us, but like instead of going into like a regular building for a job, they walk into a building, go down an elevator, go through like a secret like maze system that like gets you onto a train that can get you from New York to freaking like Australia in like under 10 minutes. Like they have these like subterranean canal systems that can do that, and believe it or not,
where are the pictures though? Like these things, they're easy to talk about, but when it comes down to the proof, it's like that's why like so many people just brush it off as crackpot ideas.
Right, exactly.
Like I know a lot of it is true, but so much people bullshitting these hoaxes and all this fake shit kind of discredit the few things that are real.
So the whole point, I'm not here to try to make you believe in something I'm telling you. So that's the thing. The whole subject matter is called disclosure. We're trying to disclose something that will radically change the lives of like everybody, pretty much everybody on the planet. The way things operate, the way things are known about other things. Like there's so much more dimensionality into like everything you already know about. Like, are you following me? So like things like, I mean, that can go in so many directions with it, but like,
trust me, I know, man. The last time we tried to do a podcast, it didn't get aired. We were basically doing DMT and shit. So I know
DMT is just
levels of dimensions.
It's just a perfect 3D thing. It's a perfect 3D thing that you can talk about, where you mention things that are beyond the comprehension of human language. Like DMT is something that can show you. Like, you ever hear the phrase, like, I can tell you about it, but I can't like open the door for you to go get it. Like you have to walk yourself through that door. Like, it's like that individual effort thing that has to happen for you to really start to get a grasp on things like that.
Yeah, like the first time I did it was a great experience. A few times after that it was kind of scary, like at least going through the process. But the last time I did it with you, I'm like, yo, I'll do a fucking ounce of this shit.
Let me ask you a question though. Like imagine the DMT experience as being an everyday life for an entity somewhere out in the universe, right? Like just transversing wormholes and like seeing things, and like once, like we only get to like get the experience after 5 minutes of it, but imagine people or entities out there who get to live like that. Like, right?
It sounds intense.
Sounds intense, but it sounds more like I know you probably felt the feeling of whenever you get out of a DMT trip, you feel like that was more real than what this reality feels like, right? You feel more of like that is the true essence of what we all are as like species, as like beings, right? Like you get to feel that, like maybe I even like
I don't want to say more real, but above, higher,
right? Like you can describe it however
higher level of consciousness,
right? So that thing that you feel when you feel it, when you do it, like I had an experience once when I smoked DMT. Like I felt like I was feeling something from a previous life, right? From when my soul was not the individuality I am now, something in the past.
What was this previous life?
It wasn't about the life, it was about the feeling of having felt that feeling in a previous life. It was just a feeling, but I felt like I'm very familiar with the feeling that it's not three-dimensional, it's an other dimensional feeling that I've had before. It was like a recall kind of shit. Like, you understand? Like all that stuff is like jumbled into this matrix of like reality, we call it. But like things like psychedelics can just like open you up to like something totally like out there, which is still part of you, but like it allowed to show you the way, right? And whenever people talk about it nowadays, it's psychedelics. What is that? A drug? Oh yeah, let's decriminalize.
But you
that.
know what? It's at the point where so much people in today's day and age are open to psychedelics. Like people back when we were growing up, like people looked at us like fucking jerk offs, like crazy assholes, like fucking tripping and shit.
Yeah.
Now a lot more people are open to that shit, and if you aren't, like if you didn't at least try it and get your mind open,
I mean,
you should at some point probably.
I mean, there's many people like millennials, people born before us.
I bet you aliens come here just for fucking like like certain thing like psychedelics, like if there was no psychedelics here, we would go to other planets for that shit.
How would we get there?
We'd figure it out.
Nah,
but if it wasn't here, and if we knew there was psychedelics on Saturn, we would fucking get there. Like you were showing me that thing earlier where they said that we make the best beer in the galaxy.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty interesting. The guy basically said that what's this guy's name again? Randy Kramer. He said that basically humans make the best beer. It was invented somewhere else, but there's something about our DNA that
it's
wants
something
to
about us. Keep
improving,
right,
progressing.
Anything that we make,
and we crafted it so good.
Right, we always want to make something that we've already made better and better. That's what's special about the human species as opposed to different species out there. And so that is one thing that was revealed to us through this show, that like we do better than anybody else in the galaxy. So what do you think about that?
I mean, it feels good. It makes me feel not as little, because when you think about for the most part, when you look up in the sky and think like, oh, we're not the only ones here, there's other motherfuckers that can do way more extraordinary things than we're capable of. But just coming to the realization, because it does make sense, that no one is really completely above anyone. There's probably a lot of exceptions to that, but for the most part, certain beings are good at some things, others aren't. Like I have a pet iguana. Like she can't do the things I could do, but she could fucking climb a tree naked. She could fall 6 stories from a building and survive. I can't do that shit. I would be a fucking splattered tomato.
Yeah, but that doesn't make her better than you, though. That makes her different.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And like one thing that caught me that I always believed, but he worded a way that was like how he explained the levels of consciousness. That's kind of how I see like spiritual evolution,
Right.
The minimal consciousness,
right,
to like a vegetative consciousness,
to an animal,
to a smaller animal, to a higher conscious animal.
Yeah.
Like elephants and shit like that, dolphins and whales, they probably think we're idiots. Their perspective on us, because they're so intelligent, like animals like that they think we're pieces of shit because we enslave their animals in zoos and shit, and they think we're idiots because we do shit like smoke cigarettes and drink beer and make beer and have people come here from all over the fucking galaxy for it. So you look at us and all the intelligent aliens that travel everywhere, like, oh, why are they doing that? We're here in this sea and we're all good. So their perspective on us is like, look at these fucking retards. You know what I'm saying? Like,
there was a quote from one of the guys saying that we are the morons of the galaxy.
But another thing I wanted to ask, I can't help but bring this up. It is Halloween time and everything. I don't want to be too stuck on that. But what about like paranormal shit right here on Earth? Like, what's good with Bigfoot? What's good with mermaids? Like, you were telling me something about like the Earth has its own climate under the ground. Like,
yeah,
it's What's going on here on this planet?
Well, like I said, I'm getting my information from insiders who I listen to that talk about it, and like if people out here, like I'm not trying to convince.
We fucked a couple aliens to get this information.
Regardless,
They didn't give us their consent, by the way.
They did not, but it's okay because in the universe you can do whatever the fuck you want. Like there is no permission needing to be asked of.
We tried torturing them for hours. But we had to use other methods to extract this info.
That's true.
So yo, what about?
Well, you were asking me about Inner Earth.
Yeah, how can that happen? Like how? Cause like I've seen like in certain movies, like the idea get like thrown around. You see it one place, and then you think it's a original idea. Then you see something like that in another form of media, and you're like, wait, this is a thing? Is this based on?
You have to come to grips with the idea that everything that you have been taught is all bullshit.
Well, I don't believe the Earth is flat. I'm sorry.
Right.
I already told
I'm not saying that
anyone who
either.
thinks the Earth is flat, don't
not
listen
flat.
to this podcast.
It's not flat.
Yeah,
It's not flat.
it's not.
Yeah, those are
Please.
morons that we talked about, right? The Earth is actually honeycombed. Honeycombed as in, like, picture the idea of a fucking honeycomb. Like, and imagine being a bee and going through the honeycomb. You're in, like, an endless maze. A three-dimensional up, down, left, right maze, right? Now, imagine the idea of our Earth being like that, and every pocket of space, although it's not probably perfectly symmetrical like a honeycomb, like right from the rim, it's like that in feature. And in those pockets of space are beings that have been on this planet longer than us, things beyond like your wildest imagination, like different species that have been here and actually controlled things on the surface of the planet from the inside of the planet. Because believe it or not, in a lot of different planets in the galaxy out in the universe, life is usually habituated on the inside, not the outside. Because if you're living on the outside, like common sense wise, what are you well, like think about it. Like, what are you prone to when you live on the surface of the planet, as opposed to the interior of the planet?
What are you what?
Like, what are you more prone to? If like just visualize it. If you're living on the surface.
Well, we build houses to have a roof over our head.
Right, to protect us from what?
Well, rain.
Rain. What else? What can like
invaders?
Not even that. What can naturally happen to like wipe us out? That has happened on different parts of the planet. Earthquakes, right? Tsunamis, like
Well,
asteroids
if you think
hitting the
about it,
planet.
if you're in if an earthquake hits and you're inside, it's kind of in more danger.
Not really, because the earthquake can happen on top of you as opposed to below you, and it could not even like affect your niche in like a cavern underneath
That
the
makes
earth.
sense because you are in the core, basically.
These insiders say that the majority of life in the universe is inhabited within planets, not on the exterior of planets. We're the morons who do this because we think this is the natural state of affairs. But
So the Bigfoot's got it, and
Bigfoot's-
the mermaid, and the
so
and
these
the mermaids.
creatures actually are what is seen when one of them happens to escape. Believe it or not, happens to escape either through a portal, and we can get into the portal talk later. But they can wander through a portal or through like an opening through Inner Earth, and they appear to people, and they're actually from Inner Earth, and that's why you have these legends that evolve. Because it's been like people, more than one person has seen a Bigfoot kind of character if it kind of came out, you know. Like imagine like if I'm Bigfoot and I came out, I probably will stumble upon more than just one person throughout my first journey of being on the surface of the planet. You have these people like consolidate their information, and now little by little you have a myth being formed through life, through generations, right? So like that is what that is from, believe it or not. The chupacabras, the Loch Ness monster, like there's apparently oceans beneath our ocean that we don't even know about because they're inhabited within these like pockets of space that could be the size of like multiple states put together, and like it could look like literally like a different planet underneath our own fucking planet. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, it is. It is, like, it just has your head spinning because, like, it makes so much sense, like, a lot of this stuff.
Yeah.
You know, and it just blows your mind when you think certain ideas, and then you research certain things, and you're like, oh, I kind of got something going. I don't feel that crazy. Then you do psychedelics, and you feel more enlightened. And then you keep living, and you just keep hearing things that people giving stories that, yeah, you have to just use your own judgment. Do you think it's real or bullshit sometimes? Sometimes there is no proof. You just have to take someone's word. But
I think that whatever you do in life, or whatever you like take in, like either from somebody talking, whatever inspires you the most to like think most deeply, is probably the truth. Like think about it. Like, we're not supposed to be, by design, from the moment you like are born, you're not supposed to be like, I don't believe that we're supposed to be limited by design. You know, we're supposed to be like, life is like life. It's like full expression to the like ultimate spectrum, right? Whatever bullshit we put into our heads to limit us, that is like the struggle, that is the play out, that is what life is to battle that internally, right? Like I totally believe that. And like, we're encapsulated by this like 3D body and shit to learn that lesson. Like, but beyond, like, it makes you think that we're not really just bodies. Like, we're much more than that. And we've been probably living in different forms than this body before, and we will after this life.
where do we go next? I mean, I've always leaned towards like reincarnation.
They talk about the dimensions, so dimensions are important.
Take a piss.
Yeah, I'm about to do the same thing. Can you pause that?
Welcome back to ChillBuzz Radio. That bathroom break was brought to you by beer. It's good. Comes right here from planet Earth. You got the best beer in the galaxy. You could look that up. Because you can't disprove that. You can't say we don't have the best beer in the galaxy because you can't say where else does. But one thing I wanted to ask you was, what made you such a believer in all this? Have you ever experienced any overwhelmingly true source of proof that like provides something to be real, that you believe to be like, you know?
I mean,
what's the most convincing thing that crossed your ears and eyes that made you like fucking just invest so much belief into this?
It came from a multitude of directions, I would say. Like, once you really start, like once one person has, or an individual has taken like psychedelics, even if it was just one time, I feel like that experience alone is enough to like tell a person that this whole thing called reality could potentially be all mental. Think about it, right? It could all just be happening inside our brains, and like, and that could be one way of going about this thing called existence, is by mentality, right? We tend to think, or are taught to think, that it's all physical and shit, right? So what psychedelics did for me is they like showed me that even though on my 3D level this would not be appearing to me, but it did appear to me on this level once something neurologically changed in my head due to psychedelics, right? So it makes you like, for me it started off with that, like realizing the profound impact of what a chemical transformation in your head can do to your perception of whatever it is in front of you, right? and you've done psychedelics before, so you probably know what I'm talking about. Like a trip. Like, why do we want a trip, right? Because a trip,
want to it's the closest thing to exploring another planet.
right? And what comes second to it? Let me ask you that. What comes second to a trip? What can you do in your life or partake in that would give you an experience like psychedelics? Genuinely speaking.
The only thing I can think of is food and sex.
Not even. Not even.
That's the only thing that I guess is...
Right. So right then and there...
is extremely beneficial, you could say.
So right then and there, psychedelics do something marvelous for the individual. They show him a different doorway of perceiving, like, things in front of you. Right? Like, it opens the gates to, like, so many different possibilities of what can be in front of you, or what, like, you can think about, the way you think about things. Like, it just opens your mind to, like, every avenue of whatever you can imagine. I mean, it's just imagination times, like, a million, I would say, right? And you know what I'm talking about. So, like, for me, that's what started it. And the more I started... So
that's kind of scary, too, because the more you trip, the deeper it could go. You know, like,
that's totally true.
Like, I've done, like, 2, 3, like that. Like, it gets pretty intense.
So psychedelics are actually meant to do that. There is a level where the spirit within the substance will not... We'll say that's enough. That's enough. Like, I can't give you any more. Like, that's what you see when people drink ayahuasca. Like, some people don't experience the effects of with ayahuasca, because I've had a friend that said ayahuasca is not your medicine. Like you're supposed to be utilizing a different technique towards awakening. But for majority of people, like, the compound itself does do the trick. It does allow healing to occur, because all this things that you experience during trips are, at the end of the day, meant for your own personal transformation, and that includes healing. That includes, like, accessing different levels of understanding. Some people call it consciousness. It's the same thing, but it's like, that's the evolutionary progression that people need to, like...
What about something like ghosts? Do you think ghosts are real? And if they are, where do they get stuck in this whole evolutionary...
I mean, I believe that... So they're, from what I know, they are souls that had too much connection to whatever was happening with them on the physical plane, that they couldn't let go of that. And then they couldn't enter, like, the astral realms. They were stuck in between. They're stuck in that plane of existence that's in between, and they're trying to make use of that plane. They're trying to, like, rediscover themselves. And people see them. Like, we can have like, I bet you there's ghosts, or not ghosts, but entities in this room right now that we can't even see, because we're not privy to that level of, like, frequency. Everything vibrates on a certain frequency. Me and you don't vibrate by design to the same level of frequency that other beings are living on right now, but they can be vibrating on a higher level of frequency, and experiencing us talk right now. They can be privy to that because they're more evolved spiritually. We're still on the road to that. We're just not anywhere near that. But the fact that we're talking about it, and we understand that this can be a reality, or this probably is a reality, is already evolving us. You understand what I'm saying?
Like, I wonder if any beings, any aliens, or any entities in the universe have figured out, oh, you know what? We just confirmed this is simulation theory. It's true. It's true. There's some person where all we are is a marble universe in some guy's sack of Marvel universes, and he's God. He controls all that shit.
It could be.
You think someone could figure out that's the truth? And what happens if that's the case?
He's gonna have to convince the entire fucking universe.
Because there is a chance that whole stereotypical almighty God that created everything.
Let me ask you a question. Let me make you think for a second. Like, if God created everything, do you believe He is in everything?
Yeah.
Right? Right. That makes sense, right? So do you believe He's in you right now?
Yeah.
So do you believe you are God?
Not me alone.
But let's say all the cultural brainwashing, which wasn't just an issue on you, it's been passed along through the first ages of humankind. I mean, let's say that was all brainwashing from the start of that. Somebody controlled us from the start, right? But do you still believe, even though you were controlled from the very beginning, you're still God? Like, do you believe that?
Yeah, because
right? Because we all are part of
no
God.
one is above anything. We like
Right.
when you try to comprehend what we are living in this shit, we're extremely lucky. Like, how many fucking minimal conscious fucking lifetimes did we live being a rock on Mars for fucking 13 million years before we spiritually evolved into this? Into a fucking bacteria and then a tree for another fucking 90 million years.
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't say that we took upon that level of growth. I feel like that time probably went by in a flash, you know. We're still part of that flash, so isn't that crazy?
But I'm saying that's just how we experience time. Try to imagine how a fly experiences time. A fly that moves around so fast and lives for like 28 days. And the way they move so fast, it's probably slow-mo. Every day for them is probably a year, the way they experience it. The way they move so fast and all that shit. Like, not a year, probably a week.
Literally, like, what, going off what you said, literally imagine your every move being the fly. It would be totally different than a human experience, right? It'd be a fly experience. You'd be zapping from one thing to another, and who knows if you're even remembering what you just zapped it to before. Like, right?
That's the thing.
No human would have an understanding of what that would feel like, right? So that within itself, it shows you the contrast between those two levels of existence, between us and a fly, and we can both see each other on this level. Like, the fact that life can vary that greatly within our three-dimensional plane itself, like, it just magnifies the possibilities of what it could be, comparing us to like four-dimensional people.
Let's go a little out there. It's Halloween, so we're gonna talk some pretty out there ideas. Right. I made a little list. I just want to ask you some questions, like what you think is real or has the possibility of real, and what you think is completely bullshit. Back in the early days, people hung bitches for being witches. Oh, that's a bar. Oh shit. But yeah. Witchcraft. What's your thoughts on that?
Witches, I get.
You know, you're someone who does psychedelics. Your mind is open to things. That was real in a time in history.
That's all about
witches and voodoo and all that.
They weren't the problem. The problem was the church trying to decriminalize whatever they were doing. But
sorcery.
All they were doing, the sorcery stuff, that is part of who we are as people. If people can do that and have those perceptions, that's because they are part of who they were naturally meant to be. Now,
I still hear some crazy stories from Haitians. They tell me these stories like out of Haiti, like these crazy voodoo shit.
You see, that's like, we're all in this together. People say, like, we're all part of this.
It's just hard to say because no one has proof, no one has evidence, no one has pictures. And when they do have pictures, they're like, "Oh, that's fake. They fake that." You know what I'm saying?
I mean, this all goes back to the idea of, like, what is this whole thing, these conversations, these topics, what does it all come down to at the end of the day? Like, personally, let me ask you that question. Personally, what does this all come down to?
It comes down to basically me learning myself and taking the people around the world on a journey with me. you know, my New York perspective and voicing out to the people all around the world and interesting things that I genuinely think is interesting. And I just taking them on the ride, the same ride that is just genuinely benefiting me to begin with, you know. I'm not going to talk about something on here that I'm not interested when it comes down to it. And if I'm interested in something, it's highly likely a lot of other people are. And so I know you're the guy for this, man. Do you think zombies will ever happen? Do you think that's possible? I mean, it is.
I'm sure everything is possible.
Anything is possible, but how can you see something like that going down? How can you how do you explain a fucking dead corpse with no heartbeat moving? How can that happen? Can it?
I'm sure it can.
Can a virus make someone's muscles fucking move?
I'm sure it can.
It's pretty bizarre when it comes down to it.
I'm sure you can make it look like that is what is happening. Easy.
I feel like the only version of a zombie I could see being realistic is maybe like someone getting sick and eating people like that. Truth.
Those are called cannibals.
Like the same thing.
Cannibals exist.
The same thing. The same way a vampire could be real. Like someone who drinks blood, who might carve their teeth a certain way and drinks fucking blood and maybe even kills people for it, but I don't believe they turn into goddamn bats. That's where you lose me. So when you get to a fucking something like a goddamn werewolf, can that be real? Had to come out of some fucking laboratory or some shit.
But do you believe that it could have came out of a laboratory?
I don't know, man. Like,
why
it's
well,
it can, but did it? Is it likely?
But the whole
is it
thing
likely?
Because
when it comes down to it, when we ask these questions, is it likely? Like, could it have happened? You know, we have to look at it like we're in a courtroom, and we're the fucking jury, and we got to figure out, is this fucking real or is this fucking bullshit?
I believe it goes beyond that. I believe it's more like, imagine everything you can imagine about everything, right? How much of that everything do you believe? That is the life you live. If you want to believe everything, then I'm sure you will not even be in this existence right now. You'd be way out there. The more you can actually tell yourself you can believe in something, the more that will actually become your own reality, right?
For some reason, I always like have this idea that there's still dragons floating around. Like, come on, you see I got a dragon and fucking ashtray right here.
Yeah,
I'm a believer. I feel like they live in the volcanoes.
We
don't want to get close, so we don't. I've seen a lot of fucking YouTube videos of people recording some crazy fucking shit, man.
What? Like what?
Dragons, mermaids, ghosts, Bigfoot, fucking aliens. Like all this crazy shit, man. There's a lot of crazy shit. Like, what cryptid, like, do you think is definitely out there? And I'm not talking about interdimensional shit. I'm talking about here on the Earth. Will be classified an animal at some point in the future.
Well, all that we really know of is Bigfoot.
Do Bigfoots,
werewolves?
Do they count though? Werewolves? You think werewolves are real?
Chupacabras, the Loch Ness monster.
Yo, but look. Do you think Bigfoots are like actually? You said they're coming through portals though. That doesn't fucking count.
Well, I'm not so. I whatever I say, I don't mean it literally. Like I said, it's just something that I'm just here to like present information that can like make you think about things. Or don't take anything of what I'm saying literally, but at the same time, don't discount it as complete bullshit. Just think about it. All I'm asking you is just to think about it. Just like take the time and to consider it, and then see how you feel about that when you do it. That is called experience. That is what makes their steps in the right direction. If you just kind of like listen to something and like think it's the whole joke, I think it's a joke the whole time, then you don't ever like feel the experience of it. Like you gotta feel the experience of like things that will like make you think even deeper about the subject. You know, understand what I'm saying? It's like approaching the whole thing in a different way, because we have been taught to approach it in a different, wrong way the whole time.
Well, obviously there's people who know more, and there's people who fake it, but it's just one of those truths that we don't know yet. If you look back 100 years ago, we didn't know shit. You look back 500, we didn't know so much more.
Right now, we don't know shit.
We still don't. Like, they still, people like, find new animals and shit every fucking day.
And a lot of those animals have been planted to deceive us further down the line, believe it or not. It goes deeper than that. Like, a lot of the fossils are just bullshit. Like right now.
Why do you say that?
Because these people talk about it, how it's all about disinformation. Right now, the icebergs are melting in Antarctica. Imagine
your friends, those guys we smoked with.
No, this dude right here, the one you're looking at. So let me give you a hypothetical. Antarctica. I'm actually fascinated by Antarctica. I actually want to visit Antarctica, and I'm actually making attempts to try to do that. But regardless of that, you ever seen the size of Antarctica?
I've never been there.
But have you ever like seen it on a map, or like has it ever kind of like crossed your mind to think about?
It's hard for me to
let
like,
me ask you a question.
For me to figure out exactly what it looks like, no map is accurate. I know that for a fact, because
what is your intuitive feeling about the word Antarctica? Let me ask you that.
The last place that's the most unknown.
Why? Why do you feel that way?
Because it's the hardest place to get to.
Why would it be the hardest place to get to? If we're on a planet that we go everywhere on, why is it the hardest place to get to?
Well, I would think shit having to do with gravity and weather.
What makes Antarctica so different?
Mainly.
What about the weather?
It's very cold.
It's very cold, right? So what is there that makes it uninhabitable? Think about it. Like, why can't we live in Antarctica? Why is there no towns or fucking people living in Antarctica? Why is that? Because everything's covered by ice, right? The whole thing's a giant iceberg, right? Do you believe that?
Well, it's cold, yeah.
You believe that, right?
If it was if they had some heaters on there.
Yeah, but they don't. And Antarctica,
destroy the world.
Just like give you some information, it's like 2 times the size of the United States. So imagine the size of North America. It's more than that, but it's all covered by ice. Now think about it. Like, there's 7 continents on our planet. One of them hardly nobody knows about, or talks about, or has ever been there, right? Or even thinks about, because it's so out there, right? If you're in a position to be controlling the planet, would you be taking advantage of something like that?
I mean, it's hard to say. I've never been in that position. Like, I don't know what they're thinking. They might keep people in the dark for some good reasons.
All I can tell you is Antarctica is full of secrets.
What do you know? What have you heard?
There is things out there that have been kept secret ever since the time of Hitler. Because believe it or not, the whole story about Hitler, how he lost the war, he actually won the war. Believe it or not, he won the war. You know why? Like, his team has been actually in contact with ETs, and they actually had agreements, and they actually gave the Nazis space technology, anti-gravitic technology that it like counters the force of gravity. I mean, it's so higher advanced than anything we know in physics that they got it and kept it secret right away. They had a base in Antarctica, in the middle of Antarctica, and there's a lot of stories about this Admiral Byrd. Look it up, Admiral Richard Byrd. This guy was actually in charge of flying over Antarctica, and what he discovered was like this ginormous city, literally tropical habitat in the middle of Antarctica. Everything's covered by ice. How can a tropical environment exist there?
Who saw this?
Admiral Richard Byrd. This dude's dead
When
now.
he flew a plane over?
Yeah, during World War II, like, he was one of those guys on the Nazi side that was allowed, like, you know, he was one of the Hitler's top guys, and he had to do things out there. Like, he was, like, Hitler actually took all his Nazi shit and brought it down to Antarctica because the ETs actually gave him, like, anti-gravitic technology that allowed him to go to space and shit.
Why the fuck they helped him?
Because he was in a position to actually, if he were to take that information the right way, he could actually evolve us further along our journey as human beings. But he didn't.
By exterminating many. Well, he did it the wrong way. He probably had a good idea.
But because
ran
of
the
that,
wrong direction.
But because of that, right now, there's actually something called the Dark Fleet. Like, look it up, Dark Fleet. They operate outside our solar system, and a lot of them are actually Nazis from the 1940s. Like, these people, like, already mastered, like, how to live longer than 100 years. Like, there's species out there that live more than thousands of years, and they actually have the time to evolve. We are actually limited by our genetic makeup that happened at the beginning of time when we were transformed from the ape to not be able to live more than 100 years, so we could not evolve to understand what we are, who we are. That's why we have such a limited time span. 100 years is actually nothing.
It's like nothing.
It's nothing.
Shit.
We can't even learn anything.
We get shit.
We're
bro.
in like idle. This 100-year experience. Even if we get to that, it's all an idle period. Like, we contemplate some things. We might get further
fucking
upon.
Terrifying.
Yeah, but there's so much more to understand about everything that we can't even fathom because we are genetically altered to be like that. Anunnaki, that's what they did. Like, if you ever read about the Sumerian Sanskrits, they talk about, it's like one of these stories that you hear about, like, you know, Adam and Eve, like the Gilgamesh story, Tower of Babylon, it's all these creation stories. Some of them that have just been suppressed by us were the fact that there were ETs from the stars, people from the stars that came down here and genetically fucked with our DNA and made us who we are. But we choose as a society not to accept that. But that doesn't mean we should discount it. What if it is real? What if we're all just discounting something that's actually real? And it's making the things...
I feel like there's no way of really knowing certain things. I feel
and that's
like
by design.
I just came to accept whatever makes sense and is... If something is believed and, like... if ideas built up and theorized and it makes a lot of sense, I believe that to be a parallel truth among many other truths. It's just a theory because, like, certain things you just not. I feel like certain things it's more kind of interesting not to know. You know, like, I feel like
I don't think like that. No, I feel
what
like
if we're just at a point in spiritual evolution where we can't get to the point in this life where we're gonna remember all that, but the next life maybe we will live a life where we live a fucking 1,000 years and we fucking see each other grow wings and shit.
I don't think we would have spiritually been ready for that. We that won't actually happen because we're not ready. We're not at that point. We could have been at a point where we're living right now a life where...
No, I'm not saying us humans. I'm saying our spirits.
Think
when
of it like...
die, like you said.
Think of it like
how
this.
They said, like, this is a fucking testing ground. You know, it's like we're like the fucking jokes. We live on this surface, like all that shit. There's so many things that can be true, and it's impossible to... I mean, you're talking about people stopping time and living fucking 20 years and all this shit. I guess if you get to a point where you could play with the laws of what we perceive reality, anything can be possible. But for here in this limited lifespan, we can't confirm shit. If we could confirm a few ideas, we just confirmed it to us.
Listen, but that is enough to do something about it. And that's the whole thing. It will always remain.
It takes many generations.
But it doesn't have to. That's what I'm trying to say. It doesn't have to.
Our lifespan has grown, though. I mean, if you look back a few hundred years ago, we didn't live past 50. We barely lived that long.
think of it like this, right? You go out, like let's say, like you wake up on a daily basis, right? Like you go down the street, you see like a hot bitch or something somebody that you would holler at, right? How many of those opportunities do you take on a daily basis? Like how many girls do you actually hit on because you really find them attractive, and then you actually go out of your way to like put the effort in and do it?
That I go out of my way
On a daily basis, give me an average. Like how many of them do you hit on just because you like just find them attractive?
Zero point.
Right, exactly. And dude, that is a problem with everybody. About, like, our example is bitches, right? For other people, it's opportunities to do this. Or like this, right? Everybody limits themselves so dramatically about everything, right? Because like who knows? What if like you took that opportunity every day when you saw somebody you really like to hit on them? So
what about the flat earthers? They're trying to.
You're like taking my shit out of proportion right here. Like I'm just saying, like the whole thing is like you can literally do what you want to do. Like if you imagine that you can like date like the hottest chick, you can literally do that if you try to do it every day. And then it would happen, right? Like, do you believe me on that?
Yeah, I mean, it only makes sense.
It has to happen. It has to work. Like, how could it not work, right?
Because, like, this is the way I look at it. It's like, sometimes other factors do come into effect.
But that's all you making them up, right?
But then it comes down to how bad you want something.
Right.
I mean,
exactly.
I do truly believe, like, if you want something that bad, you figure it out.
What if
you make it happen?
What if a higher level of existence is to live in a way where you really want everything you really want, and you get it, right? Like, just you manifest it. Like, you really want something, all right, it happens right here. Like, that is, like, legit.
Yeah, but then what, though? It's hard for me to... I was talking to Pop on an episode. Like, yeah, we had this similar conversation. I was basically saying it's hard for me to even think about that. It's because just like this whole way of thinking positive and negative, like if everything was just too easily accessed to me, you're just God at that point. You're just creating existence. Because if it's
but you are creating it.
Yeah, but like being in a world with positive and negative energy, I just feel like with the negative energy of the universe that affects the universe.
It's the duality in everything, right? There's up and down, in and out.
But how do you appreciate something? How do
find
you
the
feel
center.
Good about
you gotta
something?
Find the center of it.
How do you find the center of something that doesn't have shape?
You think about it, like you imagine it.
Like
imagine it in a different
world with no negative energy. I can't see it. Like, what kind of fucking world is that?
Because you're trying to imagine
sitting on a fucking bonfire for eternity, singing fucking Kumbaya with smiles glued on their faces.
No, imagine it in a different way. Imagine it in like, I don't know, but like, believe it or not, it has been done out there in different parts of our universe. That's been done. That answer to that question has been figured out, and it has become part of reality. That's what you're hearing from people like that.
What about time travel?
It's all incorporated. They talk about it.
The rules of fucking time travel.
Yeah,
how does that work?
It's been solved.
How do you believe the rules of time travel?
It's been solved.
Apply.
It's been solved.
Tell me, enlighten me.
I would rather have you just watch the episode that says time travel literally on it.
Well, you know what? The people are listening to this podcast.
All right. Well, it's
long story short.
It's been accomplished.
They don't want to hear from them. They want to hear from Galaxy Mike.
All right. Well, it hasn't been perfected, but it has been accomplished. People have been going back and forth in time.
Oh, so back and forth.
Back and forth.
to react with time, or be able to alter it?
So I will not be able to give you the specifics about it because I'm still learning, but I definitely can give you a definite answer that it has been accomplished, and it's being used as we speak and in the past.
I feel like being able to witness it is more believable for now. At
The
least.
speed of light is actually minuscule to the speeds people or entities have been reaching. Speed of light is all bullshit. We think of speed of light as the limit of infinity, right? That's actually like a 10 on our scale of infinity.
Yeah.
I believe that because it's true. Because we can already fly craft. People who work on the inside can already fly craft faster than the speed of light. Like exponentially faster.
But what like happens when, like, alright, let's say you in the spaceship chilling, fly ass spaceship,
Yeah.
fly paint job, all that, and fucking you're going light years, you're traveling light years. Does that not fuck up your stomach and your organs and your brain? Do you not have a crazy head rush when you're traveling at high speeds, hyper speeds, light speed, whatever?
I guess not.
What do you think that feels like?
I guess not. I guess they wouldn't have had it if it did.
Is it more like a teleportation thing, like instantly?
No,
like
I'm sure it's an experience.
warp
Like
holes?
what if it's like a DMT trip?
We're just trying to make it fun.
But no, because DMT trip, it feels real. What if it's the same thing? It feels real.
Yeah,
it's
I
like
did
that.
have some tunnel visions
Right.
before.
So what if that's the same thing? That's what traveling means. Is feeling.
You know
that.
what? That is an intense feeling on your body. So it makes a little sense.
What, tripping?
Got the blunt. No, it's like a very tripping is. It's like very intense. Like it's DMT. That shit knocks you the fuck out.
It's the craziest
When you're
thing you can do
in a
it
spaceship
in this 3D
going
existence.
fucking light years an hour. Oh, how many miles an hour are you going? No, how many fucking light years an hour? LYH, whatever.
Yeah.
Right there on the dashboard, chilling. Do you get sick from that? Like, I don't fucking know, man. Like, it's
What, from tripping?
so many things. It's like that whole shit of, like, talking to fucking aliens, like fucking a mile-long ship talking to fucking aliens. Like, explain that shit. Like, how many different alien species do you know about? Have you heard of?
I mean,
You don't have to know them off the head.
A
Just
lot.
give me a number.
a lot.
Hundreds.
No, probably not hundreds, but I'm sure there's more than hundreds. But I know
What's
specifically
the most bizarre thing?
the
you've
Moss
heard of?
Man.
What's that?
Imagine a being made out of living moss, but he doesn't really have 2 arms, 2 legs. He's more of like that character from Pokemon, Slug,
God.
the purple thing.
Tangela?
No, it's like that purple, like
Oh,
Slug.
Slimer or some shit.
some shit like that. Like that.
Muck. Or some shit.
Muck, yeah. Because I kept thinking, fuck. Yeah. Muck, yeah. Imagine that. That could be real. What if...
Imagine a
look at who
planet with
created-
Pokemon.
Totally.
Imagine there's a fucking planet out
Yeah.
there with Ash throwing Pokeballs
So-
and fucking rats with electric and shit.
So there's this thing called... I'm not going to go get into it. There's this thing called remote viewing. They have... It's pretty much where you can, like, literally train yourself to, like, see things happening in the future and in the past. And it's been hijacked by the CIA. CIA has been using it to, like, spy on Russian, like agendas and shit. But there's so much history to it. Anyway, you can literally... And the moral of the story is you can, like, see distant into events, people, and places in the past or in the future. Literally, because you are omnipresent. You being God, being part of everything, you can shift your awareness to any part of whatever's happening in the universe and
Have
ever
you
did.
done that yet?
I'm working on it. I swear to God, I bought the program. I'm working on it. but it's a real thing you can engage in, like right now, and actually, like, it could be somebody's like drug of choice.
Why don't you give the people a little free trial session, a little free lesson.
You don't need
Fill 'em
you
in.
can't
How do you
think of
start
instant
off?
gratification when you talk about things like that.
Just read the first line, the first 2 sentences in the instruction manual.
It's totally not like that. It's like you get into a theta brain state. A theta brain state is like, think of it as like, right now we're in beta. Beta is like our waking state, right? Then you can sink into alpha, and then theta or delta theta, right? You can go down. Like when you meditate, I know you've probably never meditated before, but imagine meditating. Imagine when you meditate. What do you think can happen when you meditate?
You got that fucking pyramid thing in your house. Trust me, I meditated before. I meditated myself.
Let me ask you something though. What do you really believe meditation can give you? Coming from somebody who doesn't do it much, but what do you think are like the potentials of it? When you really,
the way I look at it, it's the best way for me to realistically describe it. It's like an eraser.
What is your erase?
It's like marking, like let's say someone takes a fucking dirty ass pencil and draws it all over your brain, and that's like just bad energy and shit clouding up your consciousness. And when you meditate, it just clears it all out, and you're kind of in a more refreshing state. It's like taking a shower on your brain.
So let me ask you a question. Why don't you try to do that if you believe that every day?
When I feel like I need to, I do.
You do?
Yeah.
Because
like I don't look like it, but I might.
Because that
meditate
is just,
and pray and shit like that.
But think about it. That is just like a anomaly right there. Like if somebody can understand that, like just sitting in silence and reviewing your own existence.
What answer did you think I was gonna hear?
No, but I'm just saying. Think about what you just said though. Like
yeah, I've never honestly.
You believe
I
that.
didn't want to give you a textbook answer. I wanted to give you something that meditating does, something completely from scratch, what you think it is.
Right.
You know, sometimes like I get scared to death because like when I really meditate so hard and I clear my mind fully and then try to come back and I wake up to this shit, I'm like, what the fuck? Because you can meditate and clear your mind so hard that when you like kind of fall back into this, you're kind of shocked, like you just saw a fucking alien planet. You know, you ever clear your mind that hard that it's just comprehending what we yeah.
So it's the same thing though, right? You're coming back to the same realization but listen, you're coming back to the same realization that there's more out there than this, right? That's the bottom line.
Yeah,
there's more out there than this, right?
But the fact that
we're
the
always
world
in this.
we live in and the way it's set up makes it too hard for things to be how good they could be.
But are you really gonna accept that? Because if you keep thinking like that, if you keep thinking like that, nothing ever happens.
We're doing this right now.
But I'm just saying, exactly. So, like, if you believe that, like, do you think that you should continue to like do that, like individually speaking, like let's say like you know that something is bad for you, but you continue to do it. Do you think one day it will hit you like maybe I should stop doing this?
Recently, like I'm in a spot where I feel like I'm on the best path I could be right now. Like I've been just saving up money. I've been just working a lot, like not really spending money at all. Like I feel like right now I have a great game plan for the hand of cards I'm dealing with, and I'm doing good. Like right now, currently, like I don't really feel a demand to meditate. Like sometimes I do. Like I'll do it before. Like alright, if I'm like alright, I just did a podcast with someone the other day that I just met. You know, someone like you, I know you for years. We talk, it's like no problem. But someone I just met, it's like alright, it's a little like paranoid nervousness. It's like alright. But when you like clear your head and meditate a little bit, you just refresh yourself. You're a clear soul, clear mind, and you just go in it to win it, you know?
Yeah.
But in a regular life where you already have shit down packed and you're on the right road and you're good and comfortable with how it is, like, I mean, I don't want to say I'm completely comfortable. I'm taking sacrifices right now, but I know good is coming out of it. Like, I know I'm making the best decisions for what, you know, like I'm making the best decisions I could possibly make for the current time being, you know, like with all the shit going on today, it's, you know, we gotta do what we could do. You know, today is a few days before Halloween. This will definitely be out days after that, but don't even know what's going on for Halloween yet, but
I mean, dude, what is going on?
that's what I figured out. I need to do a podcast that could have people who want all that I wanted to give people something that they could look at it as fictional, but we're going to give them something that makes them scratch their heads and say, is this fiction or is this non-fiction? Because something I believe I said this before last on a last episode there 9 with Cartman, but I said that basically, like, all right, look back 100 years, look back 1,000 years ago, right? And they're telling stories about cars and planes and phones and shit like that. They're writing stories, writing books about it. That book was considered fiction, right? But we dig up that book, and that book is in a fiction section of a library a few hundred years ago. But what we're living right now, it was fiction back then because it wasn't happening, but it came to be real. So anything we think of, over time, if it makes sense, it's bound to happen.
That's what I've been trying to explain this whole time. The whole time.
Well, it's been a great recorder, man. Anything else you want to get off your chest, explain?
Listen,
throw a cherry and sprinkles on it?
There's so much more. I mean, listen, I'm not... This is
Yo,
not...
we could do a whole show out of this, man. We could do a whole series out of this
tell
shit.
this to the audience, this is not all I do. Like, I actually have a life and have a job, you know, I have my own shit going on. I'm in school. It's just something that, like...
How you gonna make a living off this? I mean, it's not really for people to really make a living off.
I'm not really trying to make a living. I'm just trying to, like...
Put it this way, the guy who wants to make a living off this is the guy you have to worry about. You get what I'm saying? Like, that's who you have to fact check. The person with the fucking camera on the TV station and all that shit.
And that's because you have to understand what it is you're dealing with.
The person on the podcast talking just to talk. That's who you believe. Like, you know when someone's full of shit. You know when you can believe someone, you know. Yeah, like I feel like the eye and ears are the best lie detector test there is, you know. So people, like, a lot of times shit that you think is bullshit is actually real, and shit you think is real is actually bullshit. Be your own scientist and just figure it out on your own, you know. Don't always just take people's word for it, you know. Fucking Galaxy Mike, thank you for coming through. Already know, man. Straight up. Gotta do this again soon. This has been ChillBuzz Radio. Until next time, I will catch you later. Good night, New York. Good night, planet Earth.
ChillBuzz, baby.